Hello and welcome to another exclusive interview here on 1700, this time with your hosts Tom and Nick.
Today, we have the pleasure of speaking to the director of the National Live Music Awards, Larry Heath. This year's event will be held on Tuesday, the 20th of October at the Triffid in Brisbane, and will continue to celebrate outstanding achievement and excellence in the Australian live music scene.
This year, SYN will be presenting the award for Best Live Act in Victoria. Voting for this award will be open until Thursday, 24th of September. For more details about voting, make sure you head to the SYN and National Live Music Awards website. Well, thanks again for joining us today, Larry. How's all the prep going with this year's show?
It's a very different year, obviously. So we're riding in uncharted waters to some extent. The event is digital for the most part this year. So a lot of it is just sitting in front of the computer and getting videos together for everyone to enjoy when it streams on October 20th. At the moment, people are voting online. That's all going really well. But yeah, it's a very different process this year. So it's equally anxiety-inducing and exciting for sure.
Absolutely, Larry. And as you've said before, it's a completely different format this year. Looking to the online and the live stream, is there any new exciting factors that we as audiences can get excited about and look forward to as part of this year's ceremony?
Yeah, well, the first thing is that everyone in the country can watch all at the same time, which is fantastic. We do often live stream the awards, so this isn't actually too new for us, but of course that would be from a physical event. So this will be a lot more controlled and planned and organized. It will be a lot shorter than a normal award show as well, which is nice. You'll be done and dusted with hopefully within 75 minutes. But this year really is about acknowledging the difficulty that the live industry has faced and acknowledging the challenges that we're going through. And in the same breath, celebrating the wins that we have had, especially in the last 6 months. The awards recognizes the last 12 months, and that's ultimately why we had to do the awards this year, because for half of the last year, it was business as normal. We were talking just before about some of the shows we snuck in at the beginning of the year before everything changed. So there's still so many great things that we want to acknowledge, and we want to acknowledge the great work that people have done to provide opportunities to live musicians through initiatives and TV programs and streaming opportunities. Who would have thought we'd get to see live music on TV again? Things like that have been able to happen off the back of the pandemic. And we have to have some solace in the little wins, given how difficult it's been. So really that's going to be a theme throughout the awards. We want to showcase the resilience of our industry as well as the strength of our incredible musicians.
I know you've had to make changes as well, going from the 8 simultaneous events down to the 1. Has that been a challenge to bring it all down to 1? What are the big key differences we're going to have and we're going to see this year?
Well, there's a lot less awards for starters. So normally we have 62 awards that are handed out across those 8 events. This year we're only having 18 awards. So we have 10 key national awards that are voted on by 100 judges nationally. These are industry people in the live music industry. So they might be venue bookers, they might be musicians themselves, they might be people on the record label side of things, people who are very active in the live music community. And then you've got 1 award in each state and territory, which make up the remainder. And they are voted on by the public, which you can vote for at the moment. But beyond that, we're going to be handing out a number of special achievement awards. So there'll be at least 5 special achievement awards handed out through the night. And these are given to organizations, individuals, or initiatives that have helped support the live music industry through both the pandemic and the preceding bushfire crisis.
I think that's really wonderful. This award ceremony, it is fantastic in recognising Australian talent in the music scene, because it's fair to say there is an abundance of Australian talent out there. Since starting the awards and since the first award ceremony in November 2016, how have you actually seen the music industry in Australia grow, evolve, and get to where it is today? And how do you see it also progressing from the current times we're in with the COVID-19 pandemic into the future?
Well, I think you're at a point now where Australian music is heard all over the world in a way that it never has been. There were always exceptions to the rule, the AC/DCs, the INXSs, but having a plethora of artists from a wide range of genres, not just playing events overseas, but headlining them. Flume and Julia Jacklin, Stella Donnelly, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Tame Impala, Empire of the Sun. I mean, the list goes on and on. These are acts that aren't just playing festivals, they're headlining some of them in countries all over the world. So you're seeing an infiltration of live music from Australia in a way you never have before. And as a byproduct of that, I think that there is more pride in the live music scene within Australia than there ever has been. You're going to start to see festival lineups coming out which are completely Australian because you can't have any international acts. And 10 years ago, that might have sounded crazy to put on a major festival outside of Home Bake, which happened once a year, that was just Australian acts. But now you do have that quality from headliner status all the way down that you can fill up a festival just with Australian acts and make it something that people are going to want to attend. And that's just wonderful to see. So I think the pride in the local live scene is at an all-time high. Obviously, a very difficult time for it right now. But looking ahead, I think we are in as good a shape as we've ever been to get back on the road as quickly as possible once we're allowed to. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for artists now domestically who would normally be focused internationally. I think that's going to be interesting. On a domestic front, you're going to see acts like Tame Impala potentially or Flume doing more regional shows because they've got to make money somehow and they can't tour internationally. So I think that's going to be great for the local scene. What we have to hope for is that venues can survive in the time between then and now, that festivals can survive between then and now, and that's really going to take a concerted effort from the industry, from the ground up, to ensure that we still have an industry that can support these acts. And as I've said before, we're nothing if not resilient. And, I've got the utmost faith that while we will and have lost a lot along the way, there will be still a fantastic and healthy, thriving scene for us to look forward to in the months and years ahead.
No, it must have been very difficult, bringing the categories down to the limited number as well. Are we going to be seeing next year? Are they all going to be brought back next year? Are we going to have the 8 simultaneous events next year as well again? Is that going to be similar?
That's the plan. There's a couple of awards which probably won't come back. We have introduced some new awards, including an award that represents live music journalists and an award that represents and recognizes promoters who bring in international talent into Australia. That award we may not be able to do again next year, depending on how things go with the borders. But there are some awards that we probably won't bring back, but 95% of it will return as it was before, and we'll be adding new things and evolving the event as necessary. But the objective is to bring back the 8 simultaneous events so we can have an event in Melbourne at the same time as there's an event in Perth, and really bring the country together in a way that no other event does. And that's really something that we're so proud of, and what makes it a unique event, both for the industry itself, but also the punters who come along and see the live performances and the awards handed out.
Absolutely. And what's actually been the response from musicians and bands in the Aussie music scene to the event itself? Have they been really, I'm sure they would have been really positive to it, how it's grown, how it's evolved. What's the reception been like in that regard?
Yeah, obviously we were trepidatious going into this. Do we want to do an awards when so many people are struggling, especially in a place like Melbourne, which is, locked down and touring artists aren't able to do anything right now? And, is it insensitive to bring an award show that celebrates a scene that is at a standstill. But firstly, other parts of the country, that's not the case. And secondly, there's no reason that we can't celebrate what we had and celebrate the achievements that we had. And so we decided with the board of the awards to progress and to see the event forward in a reduced fashion and very well programmed for the state that we're in. And all the same, we reached out to a lot of musicians in advance of the awards and got their opinions, and 95% of them were all very positive about it. There were a few that were either didn't want to be involved this year because they felt it was insensitive, and they didn't feel comfortable being a part of a celebration when they were struggling so much. And I understand, we totally understood that. So we went through a process of making sure all our nominees were fine to be, included, and yet almost everyone was ecstatic about it in a way that we didn't expect. I mean, the level of response this year has been above and beyond anything that's happened in past years. And I think it's because of that. I think because there's a struggle and because there's there's almost a mourning process about the scene that we had and what we don't have right now. I think giving people a moment to celebrate and be happy about the achievements that they've had and acknowledge the great work that the industry does, I think that it's a nice distraction from the realities for a few minutes. And, we're so happy that the response has been as positive as it's been. And also the same from media and the public. We've had more votes than we've ever had before already. And we've still got a week and a bit to go in the voting process. So yeah, it's the response has just been fantastic, but certainly understand that, some are less excited than others. And we've certainly taken that feedback on board and respected those who decided not to be involved with the awards.
It's incredible the amount of people that are getting together and coming together and supporting each other in a time like this as well. I just want to ask, how are the events going to be presented this year as well, considering everything that's going on? Will there be a crowd? Will there be bands joining and be there live, or is everyone just going to be over on camera or on Zoom, or is it going to be a mix of everything?
From a content point of view, it's going to be a bit of a mix. So everything that you're going to see in the stream is going to be pre-recorded. We were hoping to do a mix, but it got to the point especially once the borders closed in Queensland and no one from New South Wales could get there, no one from Victoria could get there. It didn't make sense for us to have a traditional award show because we couldn't have the winners there. It'll be all by video anyway. So we decided to pre-record the entire award show. It'll be a mix of things like this on Zoom. It'll be events that are pre-recorded elsewhere, acceptance speeches on people's iPhones. We'll be using, whatever is necessary for people to accept their awards and hopefully get them the physical awards in time so they can hold it on camera. Who knows if we'll be able to get, time things up that well, but so everything will be pre-recorded that you'll see. However, in Brisbane, we are still holding an event where we'll be streaming the awards at the Triffid, and there will be some performances on either side of it from nominees and local performers as well. We think it's important that there is still a live element, and while we can't do it all over the country, that is at least something that we're doing. And we may film that and put it online, or we will still have some sort of engagement online with what happens at that event. Especially if some of the winners can attend, we might do some special presentations for them there. But yeah, the crux of the event is a pre-recorded award show, which wasn't the ideal. The name is live music after all, but at the same time, that reflects the last 6 months and the way people have been doing performances. So that's kind of how we're going to go forward with it. And You might hear about some other events happening around the country as well, that I'm hearing rumblings of some pop-up events that might be happening that we're not officially involved in, but that some venues that might be live streaming the awards and having some celebrations of their own, which is great. We definitely encourage that.
Yeah, and I think it's really good. You can really see the resilience, going ahead, even though it may be pre-recorded and it's going to definitely be different to the previous years. I think that resilience is so powerful. And look, you've mentioned already, Larry, the importance of these awards. It brings people together. It highlights outstanding achievement. The list goes on and on and on. Looking into the future, how or what are the further goals that you would love to see fulfilled with the National Live Music Awards? Are there anything that you would love to further achieve? Or is it just going to kind of be spontaneous and just kind of grow and grow each year as it comes about?
It'll definitely meet somewhere in the middle there. We're going to have to respond to what's happening in the industry as things develop post-COVID and during COVID. We're going to have to continue to evolve what our goalposts are for the event. Of course, letting it grow in terms of the amount of people that attend each year and the amount of interest each year is very important. But in terms of those kind of goals that we're working towards, that is going to evolve very naturally, especially in the current climate. That said, there are certain things we want to do. We want to be acknowledging people behind the scenes more, and we want to be acknowledging, other areas of the music industry that we haven't had an opportunity to do just yet.
But well, maybe just to remind audiences, where can we actually watch the National Live Music Awards for this year?
So you'll be able to watch it on the official National Live Music Award website, nlmas.com.au. We'll be having the quote-unquote live stream broadcast there for everyone to enjoy. It'll be completely free to watch, and we'll certainly be encouraging people to support artists through initiatives like Support Act along the way. There are a lot of organizations like that, which we'll be highlighting through the night, who are doing such great work for artists in need. We know this is a tough time, and we're not shying away from that. And I think, that's a really important thing that we want to remind everyone. But yes, nlmas.com.au, and you can also get more information on voting there as well.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for joining us today, Larry. I know you're over in Toronto time, so it's actually your evening while it's our afternoon, but thank you for taking the time to speak to us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, guys.